thing. Don't worry too much about it. Um, we're going to try to hopefully talk about a lot of very basic things. These are your wheels in my box. That's how I have it set up. You can do yours any way you want to. That's up to you. Um, lights on, lights off. So goes. So clockwise for up for clockwise, down for counterclockwise, which would be for left-handed shears.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk mostly about left-handed shears today. I always sharpen with the light. Some people like the light up here or over here. You got to find something that works for you. I like the doggery table because nothing moves when I use the stone here. I like a tall chair like this because I like to see what I'm doing. Some people like a little lower chair so they can see whatever. Tall people, short people, you have to figure out what works for you. The speed dial is here on the right.
Yes, sir.
And I never really crank it up, maybe once in a while if I'm polishing, but I generally don't do that as well. Some people could say, oh, the Ez-Vex is noisy. I think anything metal on metal or metal on a bracer is going to be noisy, so I don't worry about that. I do keep some spare things here. I keep some cut up paper towels here. I keep some test paper here, water bottle, trash can. This is the holder that comes with yours. You always want to make sure that it's set to green.
Yes, sir.
When you're doing the convex. So there's a little green mark here, and these other marks here correspond with what's listed here. If you're doing things on the bevel, I personally don't use this for the bevel. It works very fine. It doesn't matter. I happen to use this particular wolf one. It's thin because I do a lot of little nippers and embroidery things. And it's the same principle. You're going to set your angle here.
Yes, sir.
This, you set the angle as well. It's the same thing. There's no difference. I just do it that way. I think you got one. I think, or you did or didn't.
No, I did not. I wanted to see it one more time so I made sure I got the correct one.
Well, there's that one. There's a medium one. There's a wide one. You don't need one. This works just fine. However, if you ever get doing a lot of little snips and whatever, that it grabs a lesser piece of metal than this does, and that's one reason why I do it. You always want to make sure that this is at approximately on the black level. You can raise it or lower it. Again, like we talked about when you first got introduced with the Ez-Vex, you try to do a scratch test. I encourage you to do a scratch test and don't cheat like I do. I try to get a little bit better and do some scratch tests as we go along. But when you do some things all the time, you can start pretty much there, and if you don't feel the burr, I do it again, and then I may have to lower it. Rarely would you ever have to go higher than 40 degrees, but there are some brands of scissors or shears that do go high because they call slide cutting. Those are generally at a higher point. One of the brands is Rocket Dog, and if you see a Rocket Dog, you're going to maybe come up a little higher to begin with. It's important whenever you get your client and talk to them, ask them, what is your shear doing? Is it folding hair? Is it pulling hair? And that will help an awful lot in the discussion. They'll say, oh, it just doesn't whatever. You want to test the shear too and see, is it closing too tight, too whatever. Now this is the shear that we played with, I believe, when you were here or before. It's the exact same shear. But you're still going to want to take and test it in some form or fashion. And you'll find a real bad shear will just won't cut the paper. It just will not cut. Some you might be grabbing at the tips, and that will help you an awful lot just as well. You also can look at it under a magnifying glass. He says, oh, I dropped it, or I think I have a nick. This is my new one from Harbor Freight. Merry Christmas. And you can actually look and say, oh, okay, yeah, or it looks good, looks bad. It doesn't look good, it doesn't look bad. I just find that, oh, there's the nick, and I'll just make sure. Because some you can see with a bare eye, some you might not see it as much. I always start with a little bit of water on the whetstone. So, because your wheels have not been used, you're going to put a little bit of diamond dressing on them. And I do this maybe once a week, once every 40, 50 shears. And this kind of will help the wheel cut a little better. You don't want to get carried away. I probably don't do this as much as I could or should.
Love your honesty.
Well, you know, when things are working for you, you know, why change or why whatever? And that's all you really need. It's just a little coat.
Okay.
We're going to coat some of the outside too, because we're going to do a practice fabric shear. Now my wheels are 4 years old, and they are still holding up reasonably well, but as you saw before, I can see some inside wear on them, and so I'm probably going to have them replated in the next couple of months, just because they're old. So this will come up. This is the safety key, which we're not going to use.
Okay.
Because we're not safety conscious whatsoever. We want to hurt and kill ourselves. There's 3 rubber wheels. It's pretty secure, but this is designed to go back in, so in case you did something really stupid, the wheel may or may not fly off. I have had the wheel jump the track a little bit if I didn't come on to it or something or whatever. That is very rare, but you know, you really should keep that in. It does slow you down just a second or two. It doesn't really matter. You know, you want to kill yourself, especially when you first start off, you might want to go ahead and use it. So this is another new toy too that I kind of used before. I just haven't used recently, so you don't lose things. It's again Harbor Freight, a couple of bucks, you know, whatever. You'll just drive yourself nuts when you see the little washer or spring or something bounce off of here and onto the floor and roll away, and it happens. You want to check to make sure there is or isn't a washer in here. If there aren't washers in here, put them on here, and try to make sure you kind of remember which way they came in, because some of the shears, and if you do enough, you'll see, oh, it goes together, but some you can put them together back asswards, and it won't work. It won't tighten down, it won't cut, and you what did I do? And it just learn to do that. I sometimes line mine up like this. You can line them up, you know, screw, washer, clicker plate, something else. You work your own little system. And we're going to actually dull this blade a little bit. I'm going to dull them both. And I'm going to do one half and you're going to do the other half, just like we did before. Some people say, well, how do I know if it's a bevel shear or a convex shear or whatever. Generally, when you look at it like an airplane wing, this would be the front of the wing and it'll be kind of sloping on down.
Sure.
You'll also turn it over and you'll see what's they call a hollow ground, or it's like a canoe dugout, if you can visualize that. It's actually a concave finish it here. So when you look at that versus look at this may or may not have a wing shape to it, but you can see it's flat. It is flat. Generally with a bevel edge, you can see a bigger edge on it. But you know you're going to come across somebody who's taken a good shear and put a bevel edge on it. Well, what do? I generally will replicate what was done before. So even though it's convex shear, but they've damaged it, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen it on the side of the wheel as a bevel. You'll find out with this, it'll take off a smaller visible amount of metal, again depending on what they did and so on and so forth. So it's just a real, it's a learning experience. But don't be afraid, you really can't mess up doing this. And if you have any questions, you call me, you call Pam and Mike, take a picture, you got a smartphone, do this, do that. You can go to beauty store and get a couple of cheap shears. Go to Walmart, pick up a pair of fabric shears, practice on those. But the confidence is in the machine, and you'll quickly gain experience doing it if you watch the videos. Maybe look at this, and you have to do it. You just have to do it. So we're going to. We're not going to mark the edge. Let's see. So you can put a little rouge on it, see if that helps.
I have a Sharpie out in my car.
Well, I've got one here too, but.
Where'd you get your tall chair at with this footstool?
IKEA.
I'll go grab it real quick.
I've got thousands of them here. I normally have one in my case, I don't know where it's gone to. You may have to get yours.
I'll grab it real quick. I don't usually lock my door, so I had to make sure that I had locked it whenever.
It's probably out on the back on the bench from when we were doing this before. Cause I'm missing a small little screwdriver too, so hopefully that's where they're at. And just a simple little color on there. You just right over the thumb screw hole. You want to have it parallel to this bar here, just a light twist. Don't do too crazy, but you don't want to have it slip when you're moving back and forth. So we'll go ahead and put this here, and we're going to just spin this a little bit. We'll pick this up, look at it, and you can see we're right on that red line here.
Yes, sir.
And you'll find, I think, the majority of the shears that I do are around 40 degrees. I did some yesterday, no, Tuesday. New client actually. And I did, I think, a couple of good, nice shark fin shears, a brand. And they were right at around, 40 degrees. And then the next one was the one you saw with the clicker plate in between. God knows how they even cut with that. But I had to drop down to 35 on that for whatever reason. So we're going to turn this on. That's about the speed I like to go. And again, it's slow and easy. Not mashing it as hard, because the harder you press against the wheel, the more metal's going to take off. There just isn't that need to do that. The faster you go, I don't think it has any merit. And I'm a counter, we talked before, and I'm going to go ahead. Well, see, that's going to be fast enough because it's slowed down. So. You're going to feel that burr. And you can feel it, even though we just sharpened this, but we didn't dull it up.
Oh yeah.
You can feel it. Now some go in and out, some go out and in, some go in, come away, some go out, come. You develop your own style. So that was 5, and you can look. All the red line is pretty much gone off of that, except up here, but that could have been just me putting it on. We're going to do just a couple more just in case. Off. And we'll take this off for the time being. Now, you've got a 30, a 15, and a 9. We're going to cheat and just jump to the 9. And you can do what you want to do. I did for probably a year or two, 30, 15, 9, 30, 15, 9, 30, 15, 9. When I sharpen knives, I used to go through a process as well. And I have found the less time I spent on my knife sharpening, going from grit to grit and this to that, I was taking off less and less metal, which is the idea, because you want the thing to last that much longer. So I really have reduced my knife sharpening time, and I'm reducing my shear sharpening time as well. I'm getting just as good of results. I'm not getting any callback, any complaints. Is it faster? Seconds, 30 seconds maybe. That isn't the idea. It's the quality of product we're looking to do. We put some more diamond on that again because it's brand new. You won't have to test the burr again because we know it's there. So now we're trying to reduce the burr. Now again, your kit, you opted for the extra 9 micron wheel. Normally it would just be the 30 and the 15, and they give you 2 leather wheels. This is a 9 micro leather with the blue rouge, and this is a 2 micron leather with some gray rouge. It's already on there, so we're not going to worry about that. Some people will go ahead and crank that up. I don't. But what I do use, we talked about before, is that little washer. We're just going to raise ever so slightly.
Where you get your washer at?
I found it somewhere. Lowe's. It's just a Teflon plastic washer.
Okay.
It's just micron up. So you're not actually perhaps hitting the blade, that end, you gotta watch that. It normally does not drop down on me, but I might not have had it quite in tight enough. Take it off, and because we just got a fresh wheel, we're gonna have more gunk on it. You rarely have this much gunk. You can probably still feel there might be just a little bit of a burr there.
Yep, I feel a little burr.
So we're gonna take a white stone, pink stone, once, maybe twice, but never more. You want to do flat on, because you don't want to come over here and do the damage that you just put on. You can never have enough water on a whetstone. That's why I kind of use the little paper towel there so it catches the drips. And this is really just a feeling. You want to keep pressure on the thumb screw, the hole, pressure here, and again you're going to be flat. Some go up and down, some go only one way. And again, I'm a counter. That was 25, but as you're doing it, you feel it getting easier and easier after you hit 10, 15, 18, 20. You just feel that. It's like, oh, okay. And then I do, another X on top of that, and I'm done. Normally I use the corner of this, but since we've already been using this, if I don't feel it after, 15, 20, I'm going to do 30, I'm going to do 35. It depends on how bad the shear is, because what you're doing is you're supporting the edge you just put on here. This is what they call the ride line. And you see like an inverse J and a ride line or home line. When you talk to groomers or stylists, they don't know, don't care. But you want to have a well-defined reverse J, and that means you did pretty good. You got to be careful you don't put too much pressure here because you'll wash out the tips. You want to have even, gentle, all the way down. When I'm done, I put it here, that side up, so I know that one's been done, and then you can do the next one. Now again, you have your other wheel on. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take your spacer off. And I put my spacer back down there so I know where it's at. I have sometimes, on the odd occasion, left the spacer on. I go back and I redo it. Just whenever you're in doubt, the numbers in the back, it'll say 30 on it, or it'll say 15, or it'll say 9.
Oh, okay.
45. So
Is that straight enough?
you're good to go.
Where are you heading to train in tomorrow?
Largo. She has, no, you won't have to scratch that test again because you already did the first one.
Okay.
So you could, you didn't really have to put the red line on, but go ahead and do it anyway, just because. Go ahead and put a test scratch on it.
Is that good?
Yep,
Okay.
you're right on there.
So now I'm gonna have to adjust the speed because we had the leather wheel on last.
Yeah. You can turn it down just a little bit. It's probably going to bog up, but we'll see. Again, you'll just learn this as you're doing some shears.
You hold it like this, correct?
That's the way I do, and I get a little dirt because I run into the wheel. That's just, I don't think Mike does that. I think he holds it further back, but it helps me to get the blade on there center versus coming in at an angle or whatnot. I just can see my finger, and it gives me an extra point.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't flat on it. There's a little burr on there.
Good. And one of the reasons why there's a burr on there, because we dull the edge.
You're right.
you're going to get a burr. If I don't get a burr on the second pass through, then I might lower it down a little bit.
Okay. And by lower it, you mean we're at 40, we're going to go to 30?
I generally do halves.
Okay.
You know, and you can see here, black and blue. There's just a lining in between the black and the blue. That'll be your change.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't go pull back on the last two.
You'll develop
I
a style.
apologize.
You'll develop a style. There's no right or wrong way. See, the burr will still be there. The burr's not going to go anywhere.
You're right. Think that's good, or we need to do some more?
Yeah, that's fine. Take the wheel off and.
We'll jump one.
What you're going to also do while you're practicing is actually take your marker and try to do a little center line or some marks along it, and you should wear all those marks off evenly. If you're wearing off on one side of the line or the other, you're not coming on square. I can see right now that neither one of us is maybe as square as we could be because we're taking off more of that diamond paste.
Okay.
So that's just a thing. I think it's hard to do on all the time because of the shape of the shear and the fingers and the this and the that. You're going to develop a wear pattern, I believe, but you want to develop a consistent wear pattern. Hopefully, the better you're getting on and getting off, it'll be more consistent all the way through.
Okay.
Again, mine are pretty old, and they say they normally last 2.5, 3 years, and I've already passed that.
That's awesome.
But I have a light touch. You seem to have a light touch as well.
Well, in life, I go at everything. Like I go to yank something off. So I remember in the video, and you told me the last time, light touch. So I'm really trying to focus on. They call me the cowboy at work because I go in there like I'm wrestling cows. Oh, I didn't go all the way to the tip on that one. It's beautiful. That gum is beautiful. We can use this one, right?
Yep. And with this, I generally go in a faster motion. So
Okay.
you know, what I learned from sharpening knives with the felt belt, or just comparable to like the leather wheel here, is that it'll cut fine going from the 15 or from the 30 to the 9. It cuts fine. But when they start doing sliding and things like that, polishing the shear, polishing the knife, it slices through the tomato that much easier and quicker and less so. I'm assuming with the hair as well, it slides that much better.
Okay. And the whole red is off of it.
Yep.
Sweet.
Now, put some more water in your whetstone.
Yes, sir.
And I clean it off in between shears, but never in between blades. No, sit down, you can do it.
Now, I meant to ask you on this. So I need to use this, but I'm just going to demonstrate. Well, if this is the corner of the whetstone, how far over should I have it? All the way covering that?
Yeah, because you want to catch the back of the J all the way to the tip, but you want to be parallel with that. You don't want to be this side or this side. If you're this side, you're not going to catch the burr. If it's too much here, you're going to start taking away the edge you just put on.
Okay. So since there's a burr, just one.
I would do one or two.
No burr, but I'll give it one more.
And the white stone, I think, is more aggressive than the pink stone that's in here. I just happen to use the white stone. I think I had the white stone first.
Well, I have a white stone. Go ahead.
I put my finger here, and I use these fingers on the top here. I put this one here.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. And they say, what I saw in a video, I'm not saying this is right, but they say you should always pull back the first time.
Could be. I probably do.
Well, I saw you do it, pull back the first time, and I was like, well, maybe they are right. I learn better in person.
Yeah.
You've been doing this long enough. I trust you listening to you and what you do. So I haven't picked up any habits off the videos. I've just been watching. And then when I saw you pull it back the first time, I was like, oh, okay.
And you feel resistance there, but
Yes,
the
sir.
more you go, the less resistance you're going to feel.
Oh, yeah. I'm already starting to feel less
Yep,
resistance.
Yep. And when you get to be 15, 20, the resistance pretty much goes away. Anything more, you're probably doing, I would say damage, but you're not doing any benefit, unless it's still not smooth. I've gone 40, 50, 60, 70 strokes on some challenging.
Really?
Yeah.
That slipped out.
And if you do one or two more, one or two less, it's not going to matter. You need to be careful when you wipe things off with your bare fingers.
As soon as I did that, I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to slice myself open.
I carry Band-Aids in here because I still, on the odd occasion, cut myself.
I definitely need to figure out a technique for that. Swiping back and forth. Because this is slipping between my fingers.
Well, again, for me,
Oh, so you grab the... Okay.
I'm grabbing here. So let's switch places again. I'll put it back together.
Yes, sir.
maybe. And you'll notice too, with this particular shear, there's a little hole there. That's where the clicker plate's going to go. So this is going to be the back of the shear.
Okay.
So we're going to now with this one, probably could have, should have, would have had a washer in it. There it is right there.
Okay.
Very thin. So we're going to snug that in, set that in. I'll put just a little oil on here. Some of these screws are square, and you got to jiggle around to get them to set correctly. The clicker plate we've talked about before, it needs to have a little bit of a curve to it. This one isn't really that pronounced, so I get a pair of needle nose pliers. And we're just going to just bend it ever so slightly. You don't want to bend it too much and break it. If you bend it too much, then there'll be too much, and you won't get a chance to put the screw on. I don't tighten it down massively, but I do want to do one clip just to see if indeed I got a little burr off. You see that cut real nice. Now we'll go ahead and tighten it up a little bit. You want to make sure that everything gets seated correctly in there. Now see, that might be a little too tight, but I want to make sure. I'm going to flex the blades maybe 10 times. So I'm going to turn one blade opposite the other one. I do that all the time to make sure, again, everything is still set pretty good. And so you can see we changed that a little bit. That's pretty good. Somewhere around 11 o'clock. It shouldn't slam all the way shut. It shouldn't stop way far here. We're going to get our wet tissue paper. We're going to just, there's a big debate. Do you test it on tissue paper? Do you test it on hair? So even though this was the one we did last time, it came up better. It's sharper than it was. So that's pretty good. I've got some fur out in the car. Oh well, that doesn't matter.
Do you use real fur or synthetic fur?
Rabbit. I get some rabbit pelt from like $5, $8, $10. I don't know. I had the same one for 4 years. I have 2 of them. Most stylists go, oh, groomers go, here's some hair. So that's pretty good, and it's better than what we did last time.
Awesome.
You know, better than we did last time. So we're going to go ahead and clean this off a little bit. It's still catching a little bit of the tips now because we dulled it up.
You fed that same stone the entire time you've been doing this?
Yep. This is a 5K stone. I have a 1K that I really don't use that much and stopped carrying it. Of course, as soon as I stopped carrying it, I needed it. And you can see now it's still cutting through, but it's not nearly as good as it was. So, you do it.
Awesome.
Take it apart, test it, put a mark on it. find a pair of shears that has a real visible nick either by sight or under the magnifying glass.
Yes, sir.
And nicks can come because they've dropped it and the blades have flexed, or it's hit something, they've cut a pin, they've cut, who knows. You don't always have to or need to take away the entire nick. It'll eventually disappear with further sharpenings, but each time you sharpen, you're reducing the life a little of the shear.
Okay.
But you want to point, if the starter says, oh, I got a nick on it, say, we'll get it to cut again. You know, you don't have to tell us ahead of time. Get it to cut, show them that it cuts. Some will cut their own hair. Some want to test it on a dog. And if the nick is still there, say, the nick is still here. We sharpened it up. You shouldn't have any problems with it catching, but I don't want to take off that much more metal unless you want me to.
Okay.
And some will say, yeah, I want the nick on. But I've never had anyone say, yeah, I want the nick on. They want it to be sharp. They want it to perform. And they want the shear to last.
I want the cutting edge to be lined up with this, correct? Or do I want this edge of it? Is that good?
Yep. I don't store wheels on the machine. If you do it overnight in cold weather, hot weather, the wheels will flatten maybe ever so slightly, and it'll be a little noisier for the next time you go to sharpen until the wheels temper up and whatever. I've done that once or twice. It's like, oh, it's annoying, but it's noise. It is a little bit noisier. And you'll find that you can sharpen the same shear over and over and over again.
I just want to take this out just to. I remember. Yep, it was supposed to have
flat on one side.
Flat spot.
And I think they should, put flats on two sides, but there are people who get confused. According to Mike, I go, are you kidding me? And the same people get confused, part of the ones that put clicker plates in between the blades.
And the funny thing was, I'm not gonna lie to you, I saw your post and I was like, what the heck is that? What's the big deal about that? And then I saw the comments. I said, oh, the clicker plate was between them. That's the problem. Just making sure everything was moving freely before I put it in here. Probably turn it down.
It's fine.
It's fine. Get a little blood coming off your nose. I'm not sure if it's Sharpie marker or blood. I'll wait for you. Not that I need you, but...
Oh, you're right. Huh. Gonna die.
No, please don't while I'm here. That's all I ask.
Well, the low kid was just blood. Bloody noses. Couple times a week.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Burr all the way down.
Yep.
One you don't want to rub your finger across.
Well, if you've already got a burr, there's no need to go back in and do it again.
Okay.
If you get 2 or 3 passes and get a bird, you can pretty much stop. I do 1 pass, catch the bird, and I'll do either, a total of 3 or a total of 5. It just kind of depends. I'm generally a five guy. But, if you got a bird, it's a strong bird.
Would there be any time that I would not want to start with the highest, but start with this one and go down?
I have never done that. If you're sharpening somebody, and I have a couple of people that I go every 2 or 3 months to, maybe you wouldn't have to do the 30, but I generally always do. You may not do 5, you may do 3, or I may do 5 on the 30 and only 3 on the 9. Generally, I always start at 30 and do it, no matter what.
Okay. Now, would there be what would happen, or what would happen where I would for sure need to use all 3 if they're in bad shape?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you use the 15, 30, 15, 9, they'll probably last a little bit longer, but then you have to replay all 3.
I see what you're saying.
If it was something that was really bad, I may do 30, 15, and 9. I think he's trying to make it easy for people to do 30, 15, and then do the 2 leathers, because the leathers will last forever, nearly forever. So there might be some cost benefits of doing 30, 15, and the blue is 9, and the gray is 2. So, we do 30, 9, and 2. Are there bigger leaps in there? Yeah. The end result is still the same for me, so I'm not too worried about it. Like I say, I've had my wheels now, and they're still I could probably run the next year without worrying about it too much.
I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Actually, my Call of Duty was up in your neighborhood, behind the wall. The great clips up there. It's off of Kathleen.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, you're in Barton. I'm thinking.
But no. I grew up in North Lakeland, so how often do you go by the Great Clips?
I try to see all my clients twice a year. Sometimes I don't.
Huh.
And I have lost 1 or 2 because I had not been back there in a timely fashion. If you're going to focus more on Bartow and whatnot, I think you should be killing in that Bartow Winter Haven. You should get everyone who has a pair of scissors up there. I don't think anybody's doing that to speak of.
There was I was going to ask you about the guy, but there's a guy who's got a website. If you type in Shear Sharpening Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah, the old guy Wade.
Possibly.
Yeah, you should have customers home.
Does he do a good job?
Yeah. If it's Wade, he lives. His wife passed away a few years ago, and I think he's slowed down since then. He was more slim chicken.
He lives on Hardin Boulevard. Probably, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but probably a 55 and older, probably 55 and older community on Hardin Boulevard.
No, he might have moved, but I think it was like an apartment complex or something.
Okay. I'll show you the
Yeah, that's fine.
before I leave today. I don't want to hold you up. I know you're a busy guy.
Nope, no worry about it. That won't be back until 8 or 9 tonight, so.
We'll do one more. I like it. Not that I would know what it would look like if I didn't like it, but I like it.
You learn, and it's okay to take it off and look at it and take a look at the magnifying glass. When I sharpen knives, sometimes I have a microscope that attaches to my laptop. You can get an endoscope that do your iPhone, and you can look at that as well. I'm kind of over that now, but you look at scratch patterns. and you look at it from a 800 grit for doing a knife to a 1,000 grit to a 9 micron or something like that or whatever, and you can see the grit pattern changing and whatnot. It's interesting.
Well, I want to do knives. I love knives. I love knives. I always carry a knife. I carried a knife my grandfather carried. And talking to you, so it was lucrative. So I want to do knives, but I don't want to stretch myself too thin. You know, I don't want to be. I have no interest in doing lawnmower blades. Have no interest in doing drill bits, carbide saws. None of that. You know, I want to keep it to one or two things. You know, maybe 2 or 3 things. I've really been looking at clipper blade machines. I know you like the shop. I've looked at the Nebraska blades because it's in my price range.
You can buy a shop that does not have mechanical arms in a similar price range as the Nebraska blades.
Really?
Yeah, it's a couple $100 difference
Very cool.
because he gives you all the supplies.
We're going faster here. Now, it's like bumping the shear out every time I go in. Like it's got bumps in there. Will that wear out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'll level out.
I like it. So I don't forget, for the next time we take this out, I don't want your OCD to slap me because I left something on there. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is fun.
It is. It's rewarding. Sharpening knives is rewarding. You just see my little video with the 4 little pen knives I did the other day.
No, I did not.
I did 4 little 2-inch pen knives, and it's just fun to bring it back to life a little bit.
Flat. I'll do one more. Flat. I bought one of these too.
Yeah.
Bought everything you told me to.
Now before you do the Whetstone, get your other blade sharpened. That way you will know, did I sharpen it? Did I did not sharpen it?
You're right. I used to make knives. And not anything to sell. I love knives that much that I would fiddle fart around with making knives, and I have a 2x72 belt grinder. I bought a couple very, very, very fine 3M belts for it the other day. And I'm a welder, fabricator by trade. I look at this. I'm not talking. I would never do it, but I could build this. I could. This is. There's nothing complex about it other than you don't own the patents, so you would never want to try to build it.
Well, he buys his motor from somebody, and he has a CNC shop in his whatever, and he bends this and whatnot, and you know, it's not rocket science. It's rocket science how he got to the point of doing it, and it is simple math, simple geometry.
You're right. That's all it is this. And I told you this. There are people that I've seen online talk to us about this, but they don't own one. They never used one. And they're those kind of people. They don't want to open their eyes. Yeah. You know, just because you do something one way doesn't mean that's the only way.
And I have conflicts with some of the people up there. They say, well, they don't that way in Japan. Well, they don't use horse and buggy in Japan anymore either. They've got cars. They've got Honda. They've got Toyotas.
You're right.
And when I say that, they get real pissed.
Is that too fast, or should I slow it down?
That's fine. You'll learn. You don't have to bog down
I really need to practice on getting flat on the wheel. I know I'm probably hitting the front.
I would do that.
I have a burr the whole way.
I would do it maybe at least. I do it once, and I test for a burr, and then I'll do at least 3 or 5. You know, pick something that you're comfortable with.
I'm gonna do 2 more because that one right there makes 3.
And it's not, you know, whether you do it 2 times or 6 or 7 or 5. I'm just that way.
Well, okay, let me finish my story. I get sidetracked really easy. So I have a belt grinder. I pulled it out. I thought I have a very fine belt, and I freehanded sharpening a knife. And I thought, well, if I could come off this belt grinder with a platform, sort of like your AMK, if I had a holder, you know, the jig, I guess you would call it. Do they just sell the jigs?
Yeah.
Do you know what they cost, the AMK jigs?
I think charge like $60 for it. I'm not sure. A friend of mine in Canada has like half a dozen.
Half a dozen of the jigs or half a dozen AMKs?
Yes, 2 AMKs and half a dozen jigs.
Can I just call them and they'd sell me one, you think?
No, you just go on.
I don't know. I want to always check it before I put it on. Not that I'm OCD. I just want to make sure I put everything back in the right place. Hold on, I can check this. This maybe work. Okay. It is work. But it's, hey, remind me in the morning about this. So, we've been having problems with the, we have a data center here in Lakeland for Publix, and we have problems with the underfloor water detection system today, the whole day, and that's why I was making sure that wasn't them saying, we're having more problems with it. This, before I forget, this it's still tight. A little higher, or is that good? It's good.
You want to try to go faster. You know, there you go. There you go. You got it. It's just like buffering your car. The more pressure, you're gonna bog down. You know, so you might want to do a hard one and then slowly lift up.
I'm gonna stand up to do this. Maybe I can get a better grip on it. Just trying different things.
Yep.
So,
You're not standing up. You're leaning down.
I know. Selling my guys at work, I say something, and then they always sit back and wait, and they go, "He's not gonna do it."
Try.
Talk to me.
Here.
Yes, sir.
And here.
Okay.
So this
Yes, sir.
and this.
Okay.
You could do this and this, but you're relying on your left hand, which is you're probably not dominant.
Correct.
So this is going to support your left hand to do what you want to do.
Perfect. That's probably going to be better for me.
And I recommend sitting down because you don't want to be kneeling on the salon.
Oh yeah, I'll get hair all over me, won't I?
No, not necessarily, but
They'll be like, "What in the world is this guy
see,
doing?"
this way you're still going to have some force from above. When you're down here like this, you're not going to have that force.
I see what you're saying.
And you want to have that to hold that in place. There you go. You got it.
There we go. There we go. I like that.
And you feel the resistance fading away.
Yes, sir.
And then you're going to find where it's not getting any less resistant. You're probably where you want to be.
I think I'm getting this stuff on my hand. Let me give her a couple more, just for good measure. She felt good, real good. Oh, little bare hands. Shear up. Swipe this one off one more time so we don't get any rouge on the stone. Okay. Do you do 3 fingers or 2?
Probably do 2 or 3, depending on how long the shear is.
Okay.
If you're going to get a long shear, I might have to use 3 fingers.
Oh yeah, that one's perfect. She's a beaut.
All right, put it back together.
So,
You didn't put any oil on the threads of the screw.
and I put them on backwards too.
Don't cut very well when they're backwards.
This is the side that goes in. That's why it wasn't flush down in there. I was looking at it going, what in the heck? So, Want to do a test cut just to
Yep.
make sure there's no burrs on it. Guess I'm gonna grab a new sheet. Okay.
I'm going to jiggle the handles, so make sure everything's set in there. And do your test again. And again, they're gonna loosen up over time, so I generally will make them a little tighter, and I tell the stylist, you know, they're gonna loosen up a little bit. Some stylists like them very, very tight. That's good. And get you a wet tissue paper.
Oh.
The thing about the tissue paper is you can feel the snag, if there is one.
Feels good. Cuts all the way down to the tips, pretty good too.
Where you'll probably have any problems would be at the tips. That's where you generally have your issues. So